Alright, I should be live. Let me do a sound check and then I'll share it on the Discord and then we can get started. Check the channel. There you go. Okay. Ready, good to go. Now I'm just going to share it on the Discord and then we should be good to go. Just give me a moment while I share this. How you guys doing, by the way? Just give me a second. Okay. Alright, so let me go ahead and do this. The minute I hit a home run, I'll start actually talking about the video. I love this ballpark. Old school Marlins Park. Yeah, once I hit a home run, then I'll get started with the video. Just want to make sure I get some guys on here. I know on the Discord, I know a lot of people were interested in hearing what I had to say about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So I don't mind. Sharing my thoughts on him and everything that happened in WrestleMania. But first thing first, I gotta make sure. Yeah, they gotta make sure. They know. So I put it on the Discord. We'll see. We'll see where it goes from here. But first thing I want to do is hit a home run, and then we'll get this thing going. That's pretty good. Ooh, that's one. Ooh, good swing. This big ballpark. Especially going towards right field. Yeah, you had to hit it really well to get it out of there. Hitting it out to left wasn't as bad. Wait. Yeah, hitting it out to left wasn't as bad. Even with the wall. But when it comes to hitting out to center here is pretty tough, but it's not. I've seen guys do it before. Ish, bad swing. Like I said, I just want to make sure if you guys spring in here. I forgot to share this on Twitter. Let me share this on Twitter. Okay. All right, Moto, what's going on, man? How you doing? Just give me 1 second. Just sharing this on Twitter, and then I'll get started. Yeah, that's good. That's good, man. Always good to chill whenever you get a chance. Whew, man. All right, so well, since you're here, Moto, let me officially start the video. Let me turn this down. So I'll tell you what The Rock did. All right. So about a week ago, hold on a second. Give me a second. Give me a second. Hold on a second. Okay, I should be That should be live right now. Let me check. Let me do the sound check. That should be live right now. All right, good. Yeah, I had to help my mom out with something. Okay, so Multi, you asked me what did The Rock do, right? So WrestleMania was last weekend. It was a 2 night event, and to me, I thought the show overall was slightly above average if you're combining the two shows. Oh, you didn't watch WrestleMania? Yeah, for let me turn this down. Um, Between the 2 nights, I would give the show. Yeah, oh, beautiful. That was a great shot. Yeah, for the 2 nights, I would give the show like a C. Right? Night one, give it a C minus. Night two, a B plus. Right? To go over, I'm not gonna go over the whole show, but the first night was average. Obviously the main event, Rollins, Punk, and who was the other guy? Roman. Yeah, that match was excellent. And then the whole drama with Paul Heyman, that was excellent. Night two started out good. The Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair. That match was incredible. What else was good? Yeah, I did. I did smell what he was cooking. There's nothing but bullshit, and I'll explain that. And I'll explain that a little bit later. Right. So yeah, the women's triple threat was great. What other match was good? The street fight afterwards was good. But the main event was not very good. And look, John Cena, Cody Rhodes was not a good main event. It wasn't very good. Now here's the thing: John Cena is almost 50. I'm not expecting. Unnecessary. Okay, you fell asleep when I started chick tag match. Oh yeah. With the one where Becky Lynch returned. Yeah, that match was average. I didn't like the match. The storyline is a little bit interesting, but the match itself wasn't very good. Um, here's the thing: like John Cena, Cody Rhodes wasn't a very good match. And here's the thing, right? With John Cena being 50, I didn't expect it to be a great match. What it should have been was what last year's main event was: a spectacle, right? A match where a lot of people interfere, a match where you have a lot of chicanery, a lot of crazy stuff going on. And the thing is that John Cena won the match. He won the 17th title. I don't have a problem with him winning, right? It makes it, obviously his last year professional wrestling. He's gonna go out. He's gonna wrestle Randy Orton one more time. I'm sure he has a match with John Cena with CM Punk down the line. Like, yeah. So John Cena winning the match is more interesting, right? Even if the match was not going to be very good, which I knew it wasn't going to be good, but what it should have been was a match where you had a ton of interference, and the goal was pretty much to protect Cody Rhodes while giving Cena the win, right? And they really didn't do that. And I'll tell you why The Rock is responsible for it. Because you have to remember, we have to go back. When the whole Cena turn happened, who was the catalyst to that return, to that heel turn? It was The Rock. The Rock came back. He came back a while ago. Like he came. Give me a second. Hold on. Yeah, my bad. I'm distracted. All right, so yeah, so let me kind of like start over a little bit, cause I'm losing my train of thought. Okay, so everyone knows. Oh, I got it out there. everyone knows what happened with the John Cena heel turn, right? The John Cena heel turn, was one of the I'll watch it. I'll get back to it. It's early, so I like to watch the game. When it's later in the game, as long as it's close, I'll watch it. But right now, I'm just kind of doing this right now. I mean, you say he looks cool as a heel. He looks the same to me. Like that's the thing. He looked the same. And the thing with the John Cena heel turn, and I'm gonna explain it right now. The reason why it was such a big deal was because it was something that we really hadn't seen from him in years, right? It was something that was talked about for a long time, and even when he was getting booed, people, even though he was getting absolutely booed, he still refused to go heel. Little Caesar. Oh really? That sucks. But if you in that case, you gotta go to like 7-Eleven or Wawa to get a pizza. All right. So yeah. So John Cena heel turn was a big deal because it was something that we never really expected to see again, especially with his last year. In the wrestling business, right? Like his last year wrestling, you kind of figured, they were gonna go for the cheap, easy pop. Of him, like going out there getting babyface reactions. So when they made the heel turn, I remember saying this in the last video I made. I said that it was, me personally, it is the second biggest ever, only behind Hogan going to the NWO, because it was something that we didn't expect. And the catalyst behind all of it in storyline was The Rock. Because The Rock was there. He was there he was there a couple weeks ago on SmackDown with this weird promo about wanting the soul of Cody Rhodes, right? And he did that promo, and what it did, even though it was a weird promo. Ooh, beautiful. What it did was create interest for Elimination Chamber, right? Because the thing with The Rock, and the reason why I'm making the video now is because I didn't really have time. I was kind of busy. Two, I had heard that The Rock was gonna go on Pat McAfee's show and talk about what happened, talk about WrestleMania, and talk about other stuff, right? And I wanted to hear him out, even though like I know at this point in time The Rock is a bullshitter. Let's be real. He's a at this point in his life, he's nothing more than someone who likes to blow smoke up his own ass, right? And I'm saying this as someone who does like The Rock, or at least used to like The Rock. But it is what it is. And this has been a trend for him going pretty much a long time ago. Ever since, his career pretty much got revitalized by the Fast and the Furious movies. His reputation has taken a slow decline. So yeah, so let's go back to the whole WrestleMania thing, right? So he comes back to pretty much try to take Cody Rhodes' soul, right? Weird promo, but it caused intrigue for Elimination Chamber. John Cena wins the Chamber match, wins it. I want to say fairly clean. I don't know if there was any type of real controversy behind it. I don't remember. 'Cause I didn't watch the show, so I don't remember. But yeah. So he wins the match. Cody comes out pretty much to congratulate him and do the ceremonial face off. And then The Rock shows up with Travis Scott for some fucking reason, right? And we'll get to him in a second. Him and Travis Scott come to the ring. They're home run. They come to the ring, and pretty much Cody gives him his answer. Says he tells The Rock to go fuck himself, and then Cena and Cody hug, and then The Rock does the throat slash, and then he does the throat slash, the throat slash, and then Cena turns on Cody. Now, obviously, with that happening, you're kind of wondering, okay, what's gonna happen after this? What's gonna happen after this, right? So John Cena, now mind you, John Cena's still doing movies and other stuff. So I don't think he wasn't on the first Raw after that show, which I don't mind too much. Give people a reason to wait. And when they went on their European tour, that's when he decided to come back to Raw. I watched the segment. There were certain aspects about the segment that I liked. But it okay. It was a nice first start to it, right? And then they kept going on and on and on. And the one thing that you noticed was that The Rock name rarely came out at all during these promos. And week after week after week, with Cody and Cena going back and forth, The Rock's name never came up. Now, obviously, The Rock is also a busy dude. I didn't expect him to be, all up in the show. But I did expect him to be I expect his name to be said, at least. But we didn't hear that. We really didn't hear that. So all throughout the build, The Rock is not only not seen, which look, is kind of understandable, but his name isn't even mentioned, and that's weird. That was weird because beautiful. That's out. But here's the thing: the reason why that's weird is because he's the reason why this whole thing happened. The storyline. Cena, like Cody, wouldn't sell his soul to Cena, so John wouldn't sell his soul to The Rock, so John Cena did. So if you're the catalyst of why the turn is happening, you should be on the show. At least you should be at WrestleMania. But what happened? They have their match. The match is pretty mediocre. And then Travis Scott comes out, right? He comes out, and this is the thing I had a problem with this as well. Right? So, now, Travis Scott being involved, like, people can, take it or leave it. Look, I don't care, but he was there. And the one thing that happened during the Elimination Chamber segment was that he legit slapped Cody Rhodes in the face while he was down, right? Gave him a black eye, busted eardrum, and everything like that, right? I think he had a black eye, but I know he definitely busted his eardrum. But, obviously we don't know what happened backstage, behind the scenes or whatever, but regardless of what happened, it was widely considered that if he's going to be involved in this match, he's going to get a receipt, right? Like, Cody's going to get his get back, which he should. So, what happened? Travis Scott comes out, and instead of going after him, Cody just stares at him. Mistake number one. If someone slapped the shit out of me, I'm going after them off rip. That's just me. I'm going after them off rip. Because to me, slapping somebody is a gross sign of disrespect. Absolutely gross sign of disrespect. I don't know, maybe it's just me. But maybe it's just me. But bro, I can't have no one, especially a man, slap me. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just my sensibility. But so Travis Scott is there, and Cody Rhodes, Cody and Cena do their back and forth AA Crossroads again, whatever bullshit. And then Cody invites Travis Scott to the ring. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing that for? If anything, you should have gone after him. That's what you should have done. So, he comes into the ring, he jumps over the rope, to get his spot up, get his, oh, look at the athleticism spot that he got. And Cody did hit him with a crossroads. But to me, bro, I'm slapping that dude square in the face. I'm slapping him square in the face. That's what I'm doing. And to me, I didn't think the Get Back was anything special. At least I didn't think it was. Maybe like I said, people have different opinions about it, but I really didn't think the Get Back was anything worth it. So, anyways, you have that. Cena, Cena, ultimately wins the match, right? And it's like, that's it? Where's The Rock? You know what I mean? Like, where is the guy who was the catalyst to the whole thing? Where is he? Nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? So the match ends, they do the whole 17 title reign celebration, and that was it. And when you contrast that to what happened last year with Cody and Roman, right? You had, obviously, The Rock show up. You had the Bloodline show up. I mean, John Cena showed up. You know what I mean? John Cena showed up. And then that's close. The Bermuda Triangle right down there. You had Undertaker randomly show up. You know what I mean? And was it overbooked? Absolutely. But what it also showed you was the other importance of that wrestling match, right? And how every character from Rollins showing up. You know what I mean? It showed what it connoted was I don't even know if that's a word. What it highlighted. What am I doing? Was, hey, everyone's motivations to seeing an outcome of this match, right? When you see that type of stuff in wrestling, yes, it's overbooked, but the thing is that it highlights how important this match is to all the combatants involved. And the fact that we only got Travis fucking Scott as interference, and not the guy who was the head, the catalyst to all of this, not to show up, is a colossal misstep on WWE's part. At least so I thought. At least so we thought. Then, a couple days later, The Rock goes on Pat McAfee's show, right? This is where I had, my issues with The Rock. And this actually is the reason why I'm making the video. So, he pretty much said that, based on the words that he said, and again, like, I really didn't want to watch the interview at first, because, like I said, I think The Rock has really developed into a bullshitter. It's kind of like the same way I feel about Hulk Hogan. Anytime Hulk Hogan's mouth is moving, I'm not listening because I know he's lying. Same thing, and pretty much the same thing with The Rock. But The Rock said, first of all, he said that the reason why he even came back in the first place was because the TKO leadership wanted him to come back to help them with ticket sales for Elimination Chamber. Now, whether or not that's true or not, we don't know, right? We don't. Some people are disputing it, but here's the thing: I'm sure that the WWE creative led by Triple H loved to hear one of their executives talk about how a show that Triple H booked, was not selling well. I'm sure Triple H and the entire creative crew loved to hear that, right? So pretty much The Rock said that he only came back because because TKO executive wanted him to come back to help with ticket sales, right? So he came up with this idea of, well, if I'm gonna do this thing with Cody again, let me just, do something unique, right? And that's where he came up with the whole "I want your soul" bullshit, right? And then, but here's the thing: The Rock in the interview suggested that Cody join him, right? Now, mind you, him and Cody had their thing last year, and I'll get to that in a second. I'll get to that in a second. Ooh, beautiful. That's close to the upper deck. So him and Cody had their thing last year, right? And I made a video about that, about how The Rock tried to screw Cody, and thankfully they pivoted, and they made chicken salad out of chicken shit. Basically, they pulled something great out of something garbage, right? So props to them. And I think the idea was for them to do the same thing. But the thing is that I believe, and here's the part that he didn't say, which, if you can pretty much, decipher bullshit when you hear it, like I can. Here's what happened. He suggested that Cody join him, turn heel, and Cody and or Triple H said no. And I don't disagree with them. You know what I mean? I don't disagree, because Cody right now, up to that point, he wasn't getting booed. Now he got booed a little bit the last SmackDown of the year, and I know he got booed a little bit at WrestleMania, but up to that point he was not getting booed. So it made no point to turn him heel. The only way it would make sense to turn Cody heel is if they were gonna do something again with Roman. Remember, The Rock is part of, based on what I can remember, is part of the bloodline. He's, quote, the final boss. But ever since he really came back, he hasn't really addressed anything involving Roman at all. So unless there were going to be something to go back to with Roman, turning Cody heel did not make any sense in my opinion. And here's where I'm going to say with The Rock. Now, he suggested it. I'm sure they turned him down. So I think Triple H suggested John Cena turn heel, and they were like, okay, we can do that. But I guarantee you, the one person who wasn't okay with that was The Rock, and that's why we got what we got. Ultimately, connoting. Meadows, what's going on, man? What's going on, man? And when it comes to The Rock, like, bro, like we like this type of action isn't new. He tried to spin it as to, I had stuff to do and all the other stuff. Like, bro, all you had to do was be out there for like 5 to 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, all you had to be out there for. Like, you don't feed us BS. So pretty much that's what I think happened. He didn't get his way, so he's like, okay, let me do this, and then after that, I'm done. Now, let me ask you guys a question. If for those of you who watch wrestling, remember when The Rock, when Hogan, went to the NWO, right? Imagine if Hogan decided not to show up for a month, right? He decided not to show up for a month, and then he decides, oh, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna after the month is over, I'm gonna go back to the red and yellow. Like, you would be confused. Oh, that's good. you would absolutely be confused, and rightfully so, because it doesn't make any sense. How is it that you can be the reason in storyline that you turn the biggest babyface of the last 20 years and turn him heel, and then not show up at all, and be like, oh, my work is like what The Rock said in the interview. All right, I think the final boss's work is done. It just doesn't make any sense. And he said, oh well, it was time for them to kind of tell their story. There's no story there between them without you. Because again, the only reason why he turned on Cody was because of you and storyline. So how does that make any sense? It makes, like, I refuse to believe that people who are in the wrestling business, who understand the wrestling business, and look, I'm everyone who's in that situation know what the wrestling business is about. How can you sit there and act like this is not some type of, collusion bullshit that he pulled? How does this not make any sense? How does it make any sense? What pretty much what he was saying? It made no sense. You were the guy who helped lead the biggest heel turn in the last 20 years. And then you're just like, oh, my time here is done. It's time for you guys to finish the story. There's no story to be finished. Because the major plot of the major device of the story is gone. The story of, like, obviously Cena winning the 17th title obviously was a big deal, right? It's the fake record for most world title wins, right? He's in WWE, that's what they want to spin it. It is part of the story, but it wasn't the main story. Ah, that's a bad swing. It wasn't the main story. The main story was Cena versus Cody, and what The Rock was gonna do, and how The Rock was gonna get involved. Because at the end of the day, this is the reason why all this is happening, because of him. And for him to pretty much say that on Pat McAfee's show, and all of us to accept it, is bullshit. Cause mind you, this is the company. I don't want to turn this into an AEW versus WWE thing. Oh shit, my bad. I get a message. I gotta get a message from. Oh man, my bad, bro. You're getting messages, getting house messages. All right, so the thing is that there's no story to be told here without The Rock. It just doesn't make any sense, right? And if you ask me, and again, this is me assuming, but I'm gonna safely assume, because the one thing that I've learned over the years is the actions of bullshit artists, right? Bullshit artists have a unique way of how they move, how they talk, and how they act. And The Rock did all three of those things with that interview. And when you listen to the interview, you start piecing stuff together, and now I'm starting to understand how he works. Right? So first thing first, the reason why all this happened was because he didn't get what he wanted. For some reason, he wanted Cody to turn heel, and that didn't happen. Then, when he and again, like with the suggestion about Cena going heel, he wanted to be a part of it because he knew it would be a big deal. So that's why I think that's why he ultimately agreed to do this, and I think that's also why they agreed to turn Cena heel at Elimination Chamber instead of doing it at WrestleMania. Now, me personally, if they did it at WrestleMania, I actually think it would have made the whole moment better. But you cannot have Travis Scott there. Like, if Cena's gonna turn heel, he has to do it organically. And even if he does it there, The Rock has to be there. The Rock has to be there. You know what I mean? So you have that, and then the whole Cody Rhodes thing. Now, like I said, this is just me assuming, but I'm going to safely assume. I'm going to safely assume this, right? So everything you're hearing is not something I read on the internet. It's not something that it's not something that I read or watched a video. This is just me. This is coming off of the dome, off of my head, right? Coming off the dome. I think personally, I do think that he sabotaged Cody Rhodes the most in all this, right? I'll talk about Triple H in a second, but I think the guy who got hurt the most in all this is Cody Rhodes, right? Now, it doesn't mean Cody Rhodes is buried. I'm not gonna sit there and go that far and say that he got buried, but I do think that The Rock screwed over Cody Rhodes on this, and the reason why is because of what happened last year. Now, remember what happened last year. Cody Rhodes wins the Royal Rumble. And he's trying. Pretty much he's trying to finish his story against Roman Reigns, right? The man who he lost to the first at WrestleMania 2 years ago. He lost to Roman Reigns, and he pretty much vowed that he was gonna go back to WrestleMania, and he was gonna win that title. The Rock shows up, and pretty much uses a power play, and pushed Cody out of the WrestleMania main event, right? And that's gone. Yeah, use that to get him out of the main event, right? The wrestling world rebelled, so they decided to take a left turn. They did something different, right? And again, like I said, they turned chicken salad out of chicken shit, right? I give them props, but even then. Look at how this man's ego. Look at the thing that happened to boost his ego. Now, for one, the interaction between him and Cody, The Rock had the victory in all of them, right? Remember the infamous backstage segment where The Rock was beating his ass or whatever, right? He had that, right? He was the only performer in that tag team match that can cut promos the way that he cut promos, which is with him cursing and all the other shit, right? He was the only performer that can do that. And then, now mind you, this year, hold on a second. Okay, all right. So yeah, my bad. I got confused for a second. And then, perhaps the biggest show of ego this man showed at that WrestleMania was that Roman had a belt, Rollins had a belt. I don't think Cody was a champion. At least I don't think he was. Cody wasn't a champion, but The Rock had a belt made for him that they concocted a reasoning for him having the belt was a belt that was made for him and given to him by the Muhammad Ali family. So when the match happened, everyone had a belt except for Cody. So Roman Reigns has his belt, obviously. Seth Rollins has his belt, and The Rock has a fake belt made for him. Like some people may not think it's a big deal, but it clear as day that he wanted a belt for himself so that he can have walk around with, so he'll look better at WrestleMania. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of ego that you're dealing with here, right? And I'll give you an example, and I'll go a little bit into politics. Now, Vladimir Putin, right? He plays hockey with some of the Russian hockey players, right? and they always show highlights of him doing well. You know what I mean? He's skating, scoring goals, and all the other stuff. Knowing goddamn well that if those players actually tried, they would make him look like an old man. But because they're playing with an old man who happened to be the most powerful man in Russia, who will likely kill you if you embarrass him, they take it easy on him. That's the type of ego that we're talking about here. I like to call it little dick energy. Where everyone else had to kowtow to your ego. And that's what The Rock did with that title belt. Bro, Ryan, that's what it is, bro. It's little dick energy. You know what I mean? And again, this is not the first time. This is not the first time we've seen this from him. We all like this, dude. All this shit started with with the Fast and Furious, right? I believe it's Fast 5, and he was excellent in the movie. Don't get it twisted. He was excellent in the movie. But you hear these rumors, right, about the ascension between him and Vin Diesel, right? And again, I'm sure Vin Diesel plays a heavy part in it. But you look at what you look at some of the demands that you heard from The Rock, right? And then you look at the whole Hobbs and Shaw thing. Does it surprise you that would it surprise anyone if I said that he tried to take over the franchise? I would say no. It wouldn't. I don't think it would surprise many people. Because here's the thing, and I'll give The Rock credit for this. Up until that point, the Fast and Furious franchise was not what it was. It wasn't. It was a franchise that was about to end. That should have ended, and frankly, it should have ended. But they added a new dimension to it, and The Rock is a big part of it. But does it surprise you if I told you that The Rock tried to take over that franchise? No, it wouldn't. And then you have the whole Black Adam debacle, and I've spoken on this on the podcast. Like he tried to turn Black Adam from a jobber character to a guy who's standing toe to toe, power for power with Superman. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, we know what this dude's all about. We know who he is. We know who this fucking guy is. He's an egomaniac, and it just seems like the older he gets, the more ego he has. And then, I mean, this movie, what's that movie called? Red One, that Santa Claus movie, right? Like, you hear rumors about him being late and not getting along with people on that set as well. You know what I mean? You hear, and again, it could be unfair, but when you have a reputation that is consistent, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? And to me, I feel like this is a guy who is. Again, I'm hearing good things about his role, his new role in the movie. So I'm hearing good things about that. But up until that point, you have a guy whose power in Hollywood is shrinking. So he goes to WWE, and he joins the board at TKO, and to gain some of that power back. And again, the stuff that he pulled with WrestleMania, and the lead up to WrestleMania last year and this year, is proof of that. Because you can't tell me with a straight face that the way the storyline started and the way the storyline was technically supposed to end, Triple H was okay with that. That it just doesn't make any sense to me. Right? I'm not trying to act like Triple H is some superstar, some great booker. I think he's a very good booker. But I don't think he's like the greatest booker of all time. You know what I mean? But I refuse to believe that was his plan for creative. To have The Rock be the main reason why John Cena turned and then not show up anymore, I don't buy that for a second. I don't buy that for a second. To me, I think that the whole thing with him and The Rock and him and Triple H, that to me that's a power struggle. Pretty much either it's happening or it's on the verge of happening. Because remember, The Rock has his own creative team. When he was coming back periodically from WWE, he has his own writers, and I'm sure that he can do pretty much what he wants for the most part. You know what I mean? And Triple H, who's the head of creative, I believe he's also part of the board of TKO, or at least he's a major player in it. I'm sure they're having back and forths on this, and their history together, spells to that as well. Remember, these guys were on camera rivals, but they were also rivals behind the scenes also. They were definitely rivals behind the cameras, because obviously Triple H was Shawn Michaels' guy, and The Rock was a Bret Hart guy. You know what I mean? And like I said, if you're competing for a spot the way those two were, obviously you guys are gonna have a level of professional jealousy creep up. But the funny thing is that back in the day, it was always assumed that Triple H was the one that will try to hold you down, and The Rock would be the one that's more forgiving. Well, that's beautiful. And The Rock was the one that was more forgiving when it came to putting over talent, or at least making them look better, right? Triple H was someone who would try to bury you, and The Rock would be the one that would try to lift you up and give you a good showing, right? And now everything's reversed now. As far as I'm concerned, everything's reversed, right? Like I said, I'm not trying to act like Triple H is some angel or whatever, because he had some stupid comments over that weekend also, involving wanting people just to be fans and shit like that. And the one thing I'm noticing, and again, I don't want to turn this into an AEW versus WB thing, but the one thing I'm noticing is that Triple H not getting the same type of praise he was getting last year. I don't know why, because like I said, I don't really watch the product. I don't really watch the product like that. I know people were complaining about this year's build to WrestleMania not being as good as last year, but he's not getting the same level of praise, and that type of pressure might be getting to him just a little bit. You know what I mean? So yeah, just to summarize, I don't want to be too long on this, but I want to make one thing perfectly clear. At this point in time, we kind of know who The Rock is, right? We know who he is. There's other stuff that he said in the past that I don't fuck with. To me, he's a bullshitter. That's what he is. He's a purebred bullshit artist. In the same, I don't think obviously he's not as awful a human being as Hulk Hogan or Ric Flair, but he's a bullshitter through and through. And he's somebody who, if he doesn't get his way, he's gonna flake, and he's gonna flake out on the situation. He's gonna flake out on you, and he's gonna try to make you look bad. And honestly, I think that's what he did with Cody Rhodes this year. I think that's what he did with Cody Rhodes, right? And I do think it was deliberate because of what happened last year. And you look at John Cena in the heel turn. To me, I have to knock down the heel turn to number 3 behind Seth Rollins, because at least with Seth Rollins, and yeah, a lot of bad TV, but it served a purpose. This heel turn from John Cena served no purpose. It really doesn't. All it is an excuse to him to revisit some of his old feuds again, and that's it. Like, I don't know how it's gonna end. But if it doesn't involve The Rock, then none of this shit matters. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't matter if we don't involve The Rock. And like I said, I heard the new movie that he's in is gonna do well. Ooh, beautiful. Is likely gonna do well. And if it does well, then you're not gonna see much of him. You're not gonna see much of Dwayne. So I don't know. It hurts that heel turn. And obviously, I talked about the whole Cody Rhodes thing, and I do think that there's a power struggle between him and Triple H, and I'm afraid he's gonna lose that power struggle. If The Rock continues to lose relevance in Hollywood, let's say he does lose influence in Hollywood, even more influence in Hollywood, he's gonna go back to WWE. And like I said, God forbid anything happened to Triple H or anything like that, I see The Rock taking over, and I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a good thing. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. The only thing I can tell you straight up is that I'm over Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and I'm not. I'm someone who I don't let the artist affect their art. You know what I mean? So, for example, I can watch a Chris Benoit match, right? Like, despite the awful thing that he did, I can watch a Chris Benoit match and not feel a type of way about it, right? I can watch old clips of Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair and a lot of these wrestlers who are, who a lot of these wrestlers are, some of them are scumbags, outright scumbags, right? But I can watch their match and not be affected, right? And the same thing goes for The Rock for the most part. But anything new he does, I don't have no interest. I really don't, man. Like I said, the movie that he has when he's playing an MMA fighter, it's like based off of a true story. I am interested in that, but anything like rock related, I have no interest. And part of it is because of the guy who he is, of who he is as a man. And to me, he comes off as a guy who's one. He's an egomaniac, and that's I guess that's the one trait that I dislike the most in people. People who have like massive egos, to the point where it affects other people. You know what I mean? Like that's why I hate, some of these that's why I hate dictators in general, right? It's part of the reason why I don't like the current guy in charge, right? And it's why I can say safely that I'm not a fan of The Rock. Because the guy's ego is out of control. And his ego not only hurt it hurt WrestleMania in general. It hurt Cody. It hurt the heel turn, and it's gonna hurt Triple H. Eventually, it will hurt Triple H if this continues. And it is what it is, man. Like I like at this point, we kind of know who he is as a human being. He's kind of a douchebag. Like that's just just call it I just call it as I see it. And his interview with Pat McAfee kind of proved that. If you didn't think the storyline was to your best interest, then don't do it. Just stay away. Don't do it. But again, when the guy has an ego as big as his, they're gonna want a piece of their pie, and that's what The Rock did. It is what it is at the end of the day. So, like I said, I'm not too broken up about it, but you just kind of tell from certain guys who have that level of entitlement, that level of ego to them. You kind of know who those guys are, and those are the type of dudes who I lean away from. So that's pretty much it. Let me try to hit a home run, and then I'll be out of here. Let me get one more home run, and then I'll be out of here. In the meantime, if you guys have any other questions for me, I feel like I covered everything I needed to cover. Now I'm hitting pop-ups now. Yeah, whatever you guys gotta ask me, let me know. because, like I said, I've been watching this man wrestle for a long time. I've been watching his career, and I used to be a fan of I used to be a fan of I wasn't really that much of a fan of the wrestler back in the day, but I grew into, I like some of his stuff. Like I was a big fan of Hollywood Rock. I was a big fan of Hollywood Rock, and like I like his movie. I like the Rundown. I would probably say the Rundown is my favorite Rock movie. And then obviously Fast Five. I watched the movie he did with Kevin Hart were funny. Yeah, I think he's a funny guy for the most part. But like you read the reports and you see the action, you kind of know who the guy is. The guy has an ego, and when that ego like shows out in such a disgusting way, then you can't I can't fuck with that at all. Is this gone? Is this gone? No, almost. Yeah, like guy with an ego like that, I can't fuck with that. At the same time, what can be done with the season's talent? What would you say? Hold on, say. At the same time, what would be done with this season's talent? Would you say safe hindered performance? Oh, you mean safety hindered performance? What do you mean by the match? If you're talking about the match, um, no, the thing is that you kind of know what you're gonna get with that match. You get like Johnson is near 50, and let's be real. When he was even when he was in his prime, he wasn't that much of an in-ring performer. He had good matches because that's gone, that's gone. Yeah, he had good performances. When he was younger because he was in there with other guys who were good, who were really good. But at this point in time, he's almost 50 years old. Like it is what it is with the match. But the smoke and mirrors of it had to have been good. It had to be good because Cody and Roman had a bunch of smoke and mirrors also. But at least those two guys, if you just leave them to their own devices, they can have a good match. Like Cody and Cena by themselves, they can't have a good match. Not at this stage unless you have smoke and mirrors. And they didn't have any. It was just a basic ass match. Then some rapper who I barely ever heard of comes in and interferes and is pretty much one of the main reasons why John Cena won. It insults the people's intelligence. That The Rock wasn't there. And it hurt the match. Like, I didn't expect the match to be a 5-star match. Like, I did not expect that. But what I expected was a compelling match. Something to where, okay, this is going to keep you on the edge of your seat. Or who's going to come out. Who's going to do this, who's going to do that. And none of that happened. And none of that happened in that match. And that to me, that's the most disappointing thing out of all of it. Alright, so like I said, if you guys have any more questions for me, let me know. Like I said, I'll hit one more home run and then I'll be out. At least I'll try to hit one more home run. Yeah, man. Like I said, man, I didn't like the match being bad, being boring. Was actually not my biggest problem with the match. It was what happened. It was just nothing happening during the match or afterwards. That's what the disappointing part was. Yeah. I did see that. And that's the thing that did frustrate me about that match also, right? Like The Rock not being there. That would have been a perfect time if The Rock was going to interfere. That would have been the perfect time for Steve Austin to come back into the ring, obviously not try to run over somebody, and give the Rock a stunner like one more time at WrestleMania. I guarantee you the place would have gone unglued if that happened. That place would have gone bananas if that happened. But instead, The Rock don't show up, and Steve Austin almost ran somebody with the car, with the ATV. And you know what's funny? Clearly, the woman wasn't happy about it, and you have wrestling fans who are trying to act like she took a dive. Yeah, and one thing you noticed right away was one of the executives at WWE went up to her and pretty much, I guarantee they gave her whatever she wanted. Whatever she wanted, they gave her. So I thought that was funny. And all throughout the years when he was driving the ATV, he didn't get into any accidents like that. And he was driving that thing fast too. So yeah, man. I guarantee that he's not gonna do that anymore. I guarantee you that he's not doing that anymore. Like I said, I'm just trying to get one more home run before I get out of here. Oh, bad swing. Yeah, I didn't realize it's already 12 o'clock. Damn. What's going on, Malto? Welcome back, bro. The video is pretty much almost over. I'm just trying to see if I can hit a home run before I get out of here. So whenever you get a chance, listen back and let me know what you guys think, man. Because, like I said, a little bit in the beginning of the video, I was kind of like dealing with in-house stuff. Dealing with helping my mom out with something. But other than that, like I feel like yeah, I feel like I gotten everything I needed to get across when it comes to The Rock and everything that was going on there. Man, I should have crushed that one. Oh, that was a nice one, but didn't get all of it, obviously. Oh, this one should be it. That should be it. Nah, not it. Almost. Yeah, good pitch. Yeah, trying to get there. That's a good hit, but not a home run. Yeah, who's winning right now? Like I said, I'm not watching it right now. But who's winning? Okay, if the Nuggets win, then obviously they move on to round two. Uh, yeah, New York. How's the Mets? Rudolph, how come you always keep asking me about the Mets? You know I don't like the Mets. You know that, right? Yeah, but if you had to ask. Okay, so Clippers are up by 11. Okay. All right, so if you have to ask, I really don't know. They should be good. Like they spent like a whole bunch of money. They should be good. Let me see. Trying to resell trying to resell shoes. Let me see. Let me check. Let's check their record. They should be good. Like I said, they spent a whole bunch of money. I mean, they lost. Yeah, they lost, but I mean, they're first place in the NL East by like 3 games. They're 21-11, so they're good, and they should be good. They spend like a gazillion dollars. They should be good. So, F the Mets. So now I'm not even getting close right now. Keep swinging out outside pitches. Oh, that one should be it. Nah, not close. It was close, but not that close. Yeah. Oh yeah. But like I was saying, that New York that Piston Knicks game was crazy. I was pulling for the Pistons, but props to New York, man. Oh my God. I gotta tell you, man. I don't know. Like, here's the thing with Russell Westbrook, right? Since you're here, let me say this about Russell Westbrook. I don't like. I've never seen a player who has been so polarizing, like in his entire career. Even when he was at his peak, you had a lot of people who weren't the biggest fans of his game, and I was not one of them. My entire contention with Steve is Steve thought that he was better than Kevin Durant, and me personally, I don't think he's better than Kevin Durant. He was never better than Kevin Durant. You know what I mean? That was always my contention. But I've always thought at his peak, he was an excellent basketball player. But you look at some of the stuff that you look at when he's bad. When he's bad, he's awful. I mean, Malta, I just don't agree, man. Like, like I don't agree. Like, he would not. First of all, he's not as good a defender as Durant, and also, I'm always gonna take the guy who's bigger. That's close. I'm always gonna take the bigger guy, and Durant was the bigger player. He's the more offensively skilled player. The only thing that Russell has over Durant is athleticism. That's it. And because he's not as tall, he needs to have that athleticism. But you can't tell me like when he's bad, he's awful. He's not like when he's bad, he's a G leaguer. And even then, I don't even know because some of the stuff that he does poorly. I mean, when he's bad, there is really bad. But when he's good, he's awesome. But when he's bad, he is bad, bro. Like, it's crazy to watch. I actually would agree with that. I actually would agree with that for his size. Yeah, I would probably obviously him and LeBron, but obviously LeBron being bigger, but yeah, but in his prime, like you watch him play, in his prime, like it was like it was insane. It was incredible to watch him, but I'm telling you, man, like when that athleticism is gone, when his athleticism, like he's still athletic for his age, but when that raw explosiveness leaves, dude, bro, I don't know, man. Like it is tough to watch sometimes. And you tell me that he missed a wide open dunk, like that's hard to watch. Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. Right, nah, that's not going out. Yeah, that's not going out. What a bad swing. Ooh, good, 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 good. Oh no, not good enough. Yeah, yeah, he was never. Yeah, he was never a good 3-point shooter. But even still, like even if he's not a great 3-point shooter, the turnovers that he makes are just crazy. And some of the decision making is not good also. And you can excuse it in his prime, but you can't excuse it now. Like you're a veteran. Like you gotta be better than that. You gotta be better than that. Oh, okay. This should be it. Might hit the wall. Yeah, hit the wall. Yeah, it's not pretty to watch. Yeah, because yeah, and that's the part that is so frustrating is that okay, this one should be it. No, and that's the frustrating part of it because, like I said, like he was so athletic when in his youth, but when it comes to the athleticism, you got to come with some basic basketball, common sense. And he just doesn't show it. It's wild to me. But no doubt he's the first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt. And yeah, he's definitely first ballot Hall of Famer. But I just feel like I don't know, man. Like I feel like he's on the edge of not being on an NBA team anymore. I don't know what his contract is with Denver. Oh, man, he needs to win a championship. Yeah, but let's be real about it. If you're acknowledging some of his flaws, right? And let's say that you're depending on him to play, like 15, 20 minutes a game off the bench. Can you win a championship with that type of play? Wildly inconsistent? I don't think you can. If you're depending, even if he's not a starter, right? Let's say he's a key bench player for you. Can you depend on that to be Oh, he has a player option. Okay. If he's one of your guys you're depending on your team, can you win a championship with that? And at this stage, I'm not talking about in his prime. Because in his prime, they definitely could have. If they kept that OKC team together, they could have won a championship. Yeah, you want? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing him win a ring because I do believe he works hard. I do believe he cares, but the way that he plays from time to time, like he's not a championship caliber player. Like he just isn't. Well, is it gone? Nope. Like I said, I didn't leave it until I hit a home run. There's another home run. So. Yeah, that's true. There was a game that I saw where he did exactly that. Where he would have one bad play, one great play. Oh, I think it was the Clippers game. I think it was Clippers game 1. Where if it wasn't for his play, grabbing all those offensive rebounds, they don't win that game. But he made some awful mistakes in that game as well. So, like I said, I do hope he wins the championship because I think his you want to see that level of hard work and dedication be rewarded. You know what I mean? So I'm not like I think Steve will consider me a Westbrook hater. I'm not a Westbrook hater, but I just kind of know who he is as a basketball player. Well, that's not going out. I tell you, man, this ballpark back in the day it's a massive ballpark, especially if you're trying to go out to left field, right field, up to center. Not an easy place to play. Not an easy place to hit home runs. Oh, nice swing. Yeah. Wait, what? Hold on, let me see. No. That's not true. I think Reggie Miller, in his prime, was a very good player, but he's not the superstar you guys make him out to be. He wasn't. The list that I showed you guys on the Discord, right? Were list of not I didn't pick random dudes out of a hat. I pick guys who won MVPs. I pick guys who are scoring champions. I picked really some top level players, and Reggie Miller was not in that category. Patrick Ewing, I agree. Yeah. Patrick was better. Like, but the guys who like, I'm not trying to diminish Reggie Miller, but I'm also not going to sit there and pretend that he was some type of like megastar. No, he wasn't. Do you guys ever remember Reggie Miller being in consideration for MVP? Because I don't think he ever was. Now again, I could be wrong, but I don't think he ever was. Like, you can say, oh well, he played with Michael Jordan. All right, that played against Michael Jordan. Okay, but Karl Malone played against Michael Jordan and he won MVP. Like Charles Barkley played against Michael Jordan and he won MVP. You know what I mean? And you look at like what other names did I mention? Like Steve Nash. Steve Nash, MVP. You know what I mean? Like Jason Kidd. Like, well, did I put Jason Kidd in that list? I don't know. I don't remember if I put Jason Kidd on that list. Let me check this Discord. Again, I'm not trying to diminish Reggie Miller's career. I absolutely believe he should have been in the NBA 75 because of. Oh yeah, right. Jason Kidd did win the championship. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I forgot about that. I try to forget about 2011. But let me look at the list. Let me look at my list. That wasn't that far off ago. Let me see. I'm still trying to look for it. Where is it? I can't find it. Okay, Allen Iverson, right? I mentioned Allen Iverson. I mean, Allen Iverson's career is a lot better than Reggie Miller's. Didn't last as long. You did an impression of Steve as kid Reggie Miller. I don't think I did. Alright, so I found the list. Let me see. Hold on. Is the worst recommended? I mean, he's better than Reggie Miller. He is. Like as far yeah, you guys have to also take into account, Allen Iverson, despite the fact that he never won a championship, was an icon in the NBA. With the shoes, the look, everything like that. You look at a lot of players who grew up in that era. Like they look up to guys like Allen Iverson. And I think Allen Iverson's overrated. But that doesn't mean that he wasn't a great player. He was a scoring champion, MVP. Like I said, I picked those guys specifically for that reason. So my list here, I put Karl Malone. Karl Malone, former MVP. You know what I mean? Like Charles Barkley, former MVP. I don't think Patrick Ewing won the MVP, but like he was always considered a top 5, top 10 center in the league every year. What if Parker was on the 76ers and AI was on the Spurs? They win championships on the Spurs. And the 76ers, they ain't going nowhere. If Tony Parker's on the 76ers, they ain't winning anything. And I like Tony Parker. Less than a year, probably. More than likely. But if Pop, could coach AI, to the best of his ability, they're winning championships. Because at the end of the day, talent wins championship. Let's be real here. Talent wins championship. And AI as a talent was better than Tony Parker. Like, yeah, Chris Paul I think is better than Reggie Miller. Dominique Wilkins I think is better than Reggie Miller. James Harden. You know, even though James Harden is a playoff flop, I mean, he's better than James. He's better than Reggie Miller, and Russell Westbrook at his peak was better than Reggie Miller. Yeah, yeah, I would say Chris Paul because to me Chris Paul is one of the best point guards of all time, and the only knock against him is he had no rings. Every team when he was in his best. I mean, no, Rondo's not better than Reggie Miller. Even though Rondo's great, yeah, but they didn't win those championships because of him. Who won 2 championships? Rondo. Yeah, but Rondo was like obviously the Boston teams he played a major part, but the Lakers he did well against the Lakers, but he's not better than Reggie Miller. Like Rondo realistically was either the third best on both teams. Yeah, I would say that, but being third best ain't being the first best. That's just to me that's how I see it. If you're the third best player on the team, it's not equivalent to being the best player on another team. You think he would have won Finals MVP that year? That Perkins got hurt? I don't remember the game, but I think if Boston had won, I feel like they would have given it to Paul Pierce. But again, I don't remember that series, so you might have been right, but let me see. Yeah, I apologize. I have to look at the PlayStation. I have to look at the YouTube screen. But the superstars around him are all time. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But the thing when it comes to like certain guys, like I'm not taking that away from him. I think Rondo at his peak was a great point guard, but I just think that his career up until I'd probably say until he got to the Lakers was a little bit disappointing in my opinion. I don't agree, man, because I don't. Also, the one thing that I mentioned, all those guys on my list were at worst the second option. At worst, the second option. Every person I pointed to were either the number one or at worst number two. No, it's fine. No big deal. We're just having a discussion. That's all. That's all it is. I don't mind having this discussion. Like I just have certain criterias for guys for how great they are and how great they're how great they can be, right? That's pretty much that's just my opinion. If you believe what you believe, that's perfectly fine. Like not a big deal. We all at some point we all gotta grow up. You know what I mean? We all gotta grow up. But yeah, that'll be it. Like I said, I hit the home run, so I didn't mind having a extended conversation about basketball. I don't mind that. Okay, but that's about it. But thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe whenever you guys get a chance. Like, comment, subscribe. Like I said, I'll talk to you. I'll talk to y'all boys later, man. Peace.